Holy City Center Radio. It is episode 69, and it is nice to be back with you here. I am your host, Christian Sanger. It is January 9th, 2023. Happy Monday. I hope your week gets off to a good start. For a lot of you, I bet this is your first full week back to work in quite some time since a lot of folks, got the last Monday off due to New Year's and all that good stuff. So I know it might be tough, but I hope you all get through it, and hopefully getting caught up on the latest Charleston news will help you out. But first, just wanted to let you all know that although I had a very quiet and boring weekend, which is okay, I do enjoy my rest and getting away from crowds and just, enjoying time at home. So I didn't mind too much. I had a very exciting moment of getting 4 new tires on my car. I know, thrilling. Try not to be jealous. But I did do something fun, actually. Tried out a new restaurant in town, El Pollo Guapo, which is on James Island. This is the restaurant that replaced Black Magic Cafe on James Island. You may remember that Black Magic closed in September after 13 years of business in the Charleston area. They had other locations. They started out on Folly Beach. There was also one in West Ashley for a little while. But the one on James Island was the last remaining restaurant cafe, and they shuttered earlier or late last year. Then a month later in October, it was announced that El Pollo Guapo, a Connecticut-based restaurant that specialized in rotisserie chicken, they were going to be coming and replacing that restaurant. And it finally opened. So starting off the new year by trying out a new restaurant, they offer all sorts of things: whole roasted chickens. They have sides, tacos, rice bowls, salads, desserts. They have drinks. They have, some of those like slushy style drinks. Some have alcohol in them, but they do have a limeade, which does not. I tried that. It was pretty tasty, and it was nice to have a cold, fun beverage, even though it's been a little chilly outside. But I was inside the restaurant with a friend of mine, so I didn't mind having a frosty, cold limeade, which was pretty great. But anyway, new location. They kind of did like a quiet, soft opening. They just, they didn't throw any big celebration or anything. And it seems like it didn't matter that they didn't make any grand announcement. The place was pretty busy when I went there on a weekday, and seemed like people were really enjoying the meals. All the fun stuff that was on the walls, you may remember if you went to Black Magic Cafe, that's all gone. And it looks like they're still, going to be adding things to the property, but they're open, ready to serve. And the food was pretty good. I've only been there the one time. I had the limeade, as I mentioned. For food, I tried a rice bowl. They have a few different types. The one I had, it was called Almost Legal. It's rotisserie chicken, spicy slaw. They had avocado, plantain, some grilled corn, pico de gallo, pickled onion, and then some sriracha aioli. I think there's also some queso on there, if I remember correctly. And it was pretty tasty. I was impressed. I enjoyed it. I definitely would say, if the rest of the dishes were good, and my friend ended up getting nachos that had chicken on it and stuff, and she really enjoyed it. So it sounds like this could be a pretty good place for you all to check out. So I enjoyed it. I certainly plan on going back and trying out, like the rotisserie chicken plate itself instead of just having the chicken in a bowl. Definitely want to see, since that's like their specialty and what they're known for, and all sorts of other things. I mean, there's tacos on the menu, and yeah, just a lot of different options. Obviously, all focused on chicken, but there are some salads and things, and you could request not getting the chicken if you're someone who doesn't eat meat. But you can learn more at elpolloguapo.com. There's also going to be a link in the show notes so you can see what their menu has, and also what their hours are. And with that, we'll move on to the news stories that don't involve me and what I'm doing. First is South Carolina schools will have to display "In God We Trust" and the state mottos. So this is something that I didn't really know too much about. Apparently, there was some legislation that had been going through, and here's where we are. South Carolina public schools must now display "In God We Trust" and the two state mottos beginning this year. Schools were already allowed to display the mottos, but the change now is that it's required for them to do so. Details for this were in the Post and Courier. They mentioned that South Carolina legislators, approved a new law mandating that schools exhibit these mottos in 2022 after a year-long push from a national conservative Christian groups. The group's advocacy efforts resulted in similar laws that we're seeing passed in other states. So the State Board of Education gave initial approval to these new regulations at a special meeting on January 5th, but they won't take a final vote until a public hearing is held in March. Opponents say, of course, and you would see this coming, that displaying "In God We Trust" is inappropriate in public schools where young children are more susceptible to feeling pressure or excluded by its religious message. So we'll see how this all plans out, but it looks like this is a done deal and will happen, pending any unforeseen changes. I'm sure there'll be some challenges. The regulations don't spell out how prominently the mottos must be displayed, or otherwise dictate where they must go, though the state law does say that they must be prominently displayed, whatever that exactly means. And for those who don't know, there's less controversy about the state mottos, obviously, "In God We Trust," with the religious connotations. That's where some of the controversy is. The state motto that most people know is "Dum Spiro Spero," which translates to "While I breathe, I hope." There's a second state motto, which I did not know. I'm not going to try to do the pronunciation on this one, but it does translate to "Prepared in Mind and Resources." So looks like state schools will be prominently displaying those two mottos, as well as "In God We Trust." You may remember in one of the previous episodes from last week, we had that really strange story, really sad, about the woman whose body was found like in a donation bin in another part of the state. This is another really bizarre story that's a little bit closer to home than that one was. A Summerville woman has been arrested amid investigation into a man that was held captive in a dog kennel before he was shot, and this was out in Darlington County. So Darlington County authorities have charged a Summerville woman with murder and kidnapping in the death of a man who was found dead in the Timmonsville area in October. News 2 here locally went on to say that warrants in the case say the woman, Paisley Ann Davis, and an unspecified number of co-defendants allegedly confined the man in a dog kennel at a home in the 2000 block of Candy Lane, in Darlington County before he was shot to death. Davis remains in a detention center following her arrest this past Thursday. The person that was shot and killed is a Florence resident whose name was Trey Lee Montrose. He was just 23 years old. His body was found off of Victor White Road in Florence County. Coroner for that area said that his body had, quote, multiple gunshot wounds as well as thermal injuries to his body, end quote. Davis is actually the second person who was arrested and charged in this investigation. 27-year-old Charles William Book was arrested back in December, and he faces murder, kidnapping, and weapons charges. He also remains in a detention center. The Florence County Sheriff's Office was the initial investigating agency. It has since turned over the case to the Darlington County Sheriff's Office. We'll keep you posted on that horrific and just scary story. Another story, unfortunately, involving a similar crime is also back in the headlines. One of the three people accused of using the dating app Tinder to lure a man to a house in North Charleston before robbing him and ultimately killing him has been given bond. The victim, for those who don't remember, was 24-year-old Alan Johnson of Sumter. The plan to rob him after luring him through Tinder went wrong when Johnson fought back against his attackers. He was shot and killed on January 9th, 2022. This past Friday morning, 21-year-old Asheray Gadsden was in court and again was asking for bond. This time, Judge Bentley Price, who originally denied bond for Gadsden last year, set her bond at $50,000. Unsurprisingly, the victim's parents were upset and they called the decision ridiculous and say murder suspects shouldn't be allowed to get bond that low. Moving on, the city of North Charleston is going to vote on a redevelopment plan for the former Navy base. On Monday, today, the city of North Charleston may be one step closer to completing this redevelopment plan of that former Navy base, as I mentioned. Much of that area remains undeveloped, but North Charleston hopes it's on its way to adding some new construction and revitalizing the area. The city is hoping to streamline the redevelopment project that's taken nearly 30 years, and they hope to do so by rezoning the 89 properties that currently sit on the former Navy base. The ABC News 4 story goes on to say that on Monday, the city's planning commission will have a public hearing. It'll be to discuss proposed new development within the district. If approved, the rezoning plan is expected to go to full council at the end of February. And now our last few stories have to do with sports. A indoor golf facility is coming to the area. You can soon practice your swing at CHS Golf, the newest golf experience here in the Charleston area. It'll be located at 1919 Savannah Highway in West Ashley and will offer multiple indoor bays with what's called a TrackMan simulator that will allow you to play full courses, act as if you're on putting greens, which I'll also have there, a pool table, a foosball table, darts, a full bar, a cigar bar, and much more. The facility will be open for daily players as well as memberships. Those memberships will be limited and include discounts, keyless entry systems for 24-hour access. They'll also have monthly prizes for the longest drive and other challenges. We'll keep you posted on when it'll open. The College of Charleston men's basketball team continues to roll before a sellout crowd and a CBS Sports audience. The squad put their 23rd national ranking and 14-game winning streak to the test as the Cougars welcomed defending CAA champion Delaware to the Holy City this past Saturday evening. The Cougars moved their record to 16-1 with the victory and now have won 15 straight games. So congratulations to them. They won the game 75-64 and are continuing this amazing season under Pat Kelsey, their head coach. Just been blowing it out of the water. As I mentioned in the previous show, their only loss has been to North Carolina, who was ranked number 1 at the time. Their next game, where they're going to put that streak to the test, they have to travel to UNCW to face the Seahawks on Wednesday, January 11th at 7 p.m. UNCW actually currently holds the nation's second longest winning streak at 13. So College of Charleston up to 15. Their opponent has 13 wins in a row. One of those streaks will have to come to an end on Wednesday. If you're interested in, listening to the game live or watching it live, you can turn on 9:10 a.m. on your radio or view through Flow Sports. That's FLO Sports. You can watch the game through that. And lastly, the pickleball craze is taking over the Holy City. Even if you don't exactly know what pickleball is, chances are you have seen it. It's becoming more and more popular throughout the country. There's also, as I mentioned, here in Charleston, it's starting to pick up as well. There's pickleball courts around town. And there's a pickleball club and restaurant called Crush Yard that is on its way to Mount Pleasant. We're actually going to have more information on Crush Yard here in a future episode, so stay tuned. But just know that there's a whole facility coming to Mount Pleasant where you can eat, hang out, play pickleball. Think of it as like a bowling alley in the sense that, you can get food and play games while you're there. Obviously, it's going to be a little different, and it's going to be quite the sight to see, I'm sure. And I'm excited to see what the space transforms into once it opens. But in addition to that, there's now a local company where you can purchase pickleball equipment from that was created by 2 Charleston natives by the names of Will Jameson and Brian McDonough. They recently launched Ace Pickleball, a pickleball paddle company. That is a lot of me saying the word pickleball and a lot of using the letter P, and I apologize. Hopefully there wasn't too many pops on the microphone when I did that. So yes, there is a local pickleball paddle company that you can now purchase equipment through. Their flagship product is available on their website. I'm going to leave a link within the show notes that you can just click on over, check out. They also have some merchandise and things that you can pick up as well. But in addition to that, be sure to use the code Holy City, that's one word, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. So if you're looking for a new pickleball paddle, or maybe just want to, pick up the sport and start getting the equipment, or just see what else they have as far as hats and, other merchandise and things, use Holy City as a code at checkout. And you'll get 10% off your purchase. So that'll do it here for Holy City Center Radio, episode 69. I really appreciate y'all listening. Hope you're enjoying the new format. We come to you 3 days a week now. We shoot for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Maybe some variations on that, but that is the general plan. We will still have interviews and such, but the goal now is to bring you the latest Charleston news and little quick hit, easy to digest moments every morning or whenever you're able to listen. Just make sure you're caught up and know what's going on in town. If you have suggestions, feedback, anything, reach out to Christian at holycitycenter.com. I also want to say thank you before we sign off to Lindsay Marie Collins, who produces this show with LMC Sound System. She also has a local podcast called FMB Radio, which you should listen to. Tyler Boone, who is a former Charleston musician, now out in LA and friend of the podcast. He allows us to use his music in each and every episode. So thank you to him. I've been rocking out to his tunes all week. And, I recommend you all see him. He's on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, everything. Go check him out. If you want to help out this podcast, you can rate and review. Be sure to subscribe, share with anybody who think may be interested. You can also go to Ace Pickleball's website and purchase a paddle or some merchandise. We get a little bit of a kickback from them, so that helps out. You can also go to holycitycenter.com/shop, pick up Holy City Center merchandise if you prefer that. That helps out. You can also go to patreon.com/holycitycenter, sign up for as little as $2 a month, cancel at any time, and you'll be helping me out as well as allowing yourself the chance to get some things like discount codes or pre-sale codes for big concerts in town. Sometimes I have free ticket giveaways, merchandise that I give out, all sorts of goodies. Go see what you could earn by going to patreon.com/holycitycenter. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you back on Wednesday. And until then, good night and good luck.